Oh, sorry, moving on. Let me just fix this. That's better. Okay, music. Do the thing again. Hello everybody, I'm Sima Dave, the good old canon historian, ready to fill your brain with the most useful information of your life, if your life is stuck in an endless game of trivia crack. Today I'll be talking about the highest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest. It is known in Nepalese as Sagarmatha, in Tibetan as Cholmongma, and in Chinese as... come on, I'm not even going to try. No matter what you call it, Mount Everest dominates the Himalayan range at 8,848 meters. Or if you're American, that's 29,029 feet. Or if you're American and scared of large numbers, that's just under 5.5 miles. My American gas-guzzling Hummer can climb that mountain in 4 minutes. Mount Everest, along with the rest of the Himalayas, formed about 10 million years ago, making them pretty much a baby compared with other mountain ranges around the world, albeit one of those chunky babies that look like sausages. Way back, India was a separate continent, floating about in the Tethys Ocean. But one day it forgot to check its side mirrors while merging, and crashed head-on into the Eurasian tectonic plate. Thus the Himalayas were born as the Indian plate crept under the Eurasian one, pushing the land upwards. In fact, India continues to get all up in Eurasia's space today, and the Himalayan mountains continue to grow at a rate of 5 millimeters per year, making Mount Everest shoe salesmen very happy. Due to its prominence, grandeur, and all-around Everestness, Mount Everest has been revered by those who have resided under its gaze for millennia. Adherents of many religions, such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism, have worshipped the mountain as a gateway to the heavens. The Sherpa people of Nepal believe that Mount Everest radiates spiritual energy that increases one's karma, so it's best not to go climbing right after being a jerk. Many Buddhists believe that Myolang Sangma, the goddess of giving, lives on Mount Everest's summit, and gets rather annoyed that people keep climbing up to her house without being invited. Pretty much how George Washington feels now. The religious nature of the mountain is demonstrated in its Tibetan name that I so effortlessly pronounced earlier, which means Holy Mother. One of the few times in the lexicon that the phrase isn't used as an exclamation. Many monasteries have been built on the base of Mount Everest, most notably Rinpoche Monastery, ranked number 1 on CNN's top places to be a recluse. J.D. Salinger and Bigfoot have been notable visitors. Europeans became interested in the Himalayas during the 19th century, long after they became interested in pretty much everything else in the world. The British attempted to determine the heights of the peaks in the 1840s, but Nepal would not let them cross their borders, fearing possible colonization. Now where would they get that idea? At first, British surveyors believed that Everest's eastward neighbor, Kanchenjunga, was the world's highest mountain, as well as the world's longest name. But during an expedition led by Surveyor General Andrew Scott Waugh in 1852, it was determined that the then-named Peak 15 was around 29,000 feet, nearly 1,000 feet higher than its neighbor. In order to make their calculations seem more exact, Waugh had it published that the mountain was 29,002 feet above sea level, and many give him credit for being the first man to put 2 feet on top of Mount Everest. Get it?
Get it?
Soon it was decided that Peak 15 needed a better name, especially since it sounded like a lousy movie sequel. Waugh decided to name the mountain after the previous Surveyor General, George Everest. Many people objected to the name, including Everest himself, since the word Everest could not be properly written or pronounced within the Hindi language. But the Brits were lazy, and they didn't want to get stuck with something like this for a name. Oh jeez, just take it away. So, in 1865, the name Mount Everest was officially adopted, and somewhere along the way, an extra syllable was added to make it Mount Everest. Hey, I'll take one extra syllable over 15. More accurate measurements have placed the summit's height at 29,029 feet above sea level, though this is sometimes questioned since it might include the snow and ice on top of the peak. Unsurprisingly, no one has called dibs on shoveling Mount Everest, preferring to take the driveway instead. Of course, as soon as people found out about Mount Everest being the highest mountain on Earth, there were some weirdos out there who wanted nothing more than to climb it. Get a hobby already, preferably one a little less life-threatening. One of the first climbers to make a serious attempt at the mountain was George Mallory, who believed he could stare Mount Everest down with his deep, piercing eyes. It is said that when asked by a reporter why he wanted to climb Mount Everest, he responded with, "Because it's there." Which is my exact response when asked why I keep eating from that family-sized bag of cheese doodles. Mallory made several attempts to climb the thing that was there starting in 1921, but was always forced to turn back due to poor weather, thin air, an avalanche, and a Yeti that sounds like Cliff from Cheers. In 1924, he and fellow dreamy climber Andrew Irvine went up the mountain and this time it didn't come back down. Mallory's body was found 75 years later, just 100 meters away from the summit. It is still debated today if Mallory and Irvine fell short of their goal or actually made it to the top, which would of course given them some more attention from the ladies. Hey guys, save some for the rest of us, alright? Undeterred, other climbers made attempts to climb the mountain without having to stay up there forever. In 1924, George Finch became the first man to reach 8,000 meters, just about 500 meters away from the summit. Unfortunately, his accomplishment was ignored in the climbing community because he used an oxygen mask in the higher elevations, which was seen as unsporting and akin to using Oddjob in Goldeneye. In 1933, a British airship flew over the peak and thought about planting a Union Jack on it, but they said, that looks cold, and they kept on flying. Hugh Rutledge attempted 2 ascents in the 1930s, but unfortunately for him, his old lady glasses kept fogging up. Part of the issue was that all these expeditions began from the Tibet side on the northern part of the mountain, which is much steeper and Mordor-y looking. After China's occupation of Tibet in 1950, which made the Dalai Lama very grumpy, mountaineers decided to go through Nepal's side on the south, which was comparatively a cakewalk. From that point on, the Nepalese southeast ridge has been the more popular route to take if you didn't have any eagles to help you out. On May 29, 1953, the mountain was officially defeated. New Zealander Edmund Hillary and a Nepali Sherpa named Tenzing Norgay became the first recorded humans to reach the top of the world, and celebrated accordingly. Hillary took a picture of Norgay as he used an ice axe at the summit, but Hillary refused to have his own picture taken, saying that he looked fat in his windbreaker. Word of the ascent reached Britain the day of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, or Q Lizzie as us privileged few call her. Hillary was promptly knighted, while Norgay was given the George Award, preferring that over a clunky suit of armor. Hillary and Norgay remained friends until the latter's death in 1986. The path they took became the common route to the summit, which was reached 3 more times over the next 10 years. In all, over 4,000 people have climbed the mountain as of 2015, including the sons of Hillary and Norgay on the 50th anniversary of the original climb. No wonder why my dad's disappointed in me. Today, Mount Everest is experiencing some challenges, and not just that it needs to go to the big and tall store in order to find a decent pair of pants. People with a lot of money have been flocking to climb the peak in recent decades, and like many other landmarks around the world, mo tourists equals mo problems. Often these people do not have much climbing experience other than at their local rec center, and are just looking for another place to take a selfie. Despite the increase of experienced Sherpa guides, the upgrade in climbing gear technology, and the extra convenience of the TARDIS, Mount Everest can still be extremely dangerous. Climbers have reported that seeing frozen corpses on the side of the trails is commonplace. In 2014, a huge avalanche killed 16 people, and the major 2015 earthquakes killed at least 24 climbing the peak. In addition, more climbers have actually produced worse traffic jams on the mountain than you see on Interstate 95, and believe it or not, the road rage is just as bad. While the Everest tourism industry has had its criticisms, Edmund Hillary pointed out in 2003 that the money generated by people coming to the mountain had bought schools, hospitals, and water purification facilities for the local populations, most of which are, of course, in major disrepair after the recent seismic disturbances within Nepal. So I thank you for watching this video by the Can Historian, made in honor to those who were killed, injured, or displaced as a result of the Nepalese earthquakes. I ask that you keep these people in your thoughts, and continue to provide whatever aid you can as the nation makes its long road to recovery. Any donation made to my PayPal account from now until the end of this June will be forwarded to the Nepal Red Cross Society. Just click the link to my blog, and then find the donate button on the bottom right. Of course, while you're there, you might as well check out my written histories that I've been composing for the past, 2 years. Just a thought. Anyway, remember kids, those who don't study the past are doomed.